Hello barbecue friends. Now in today's video we're going to be making some jalapeno poppers. Now the inspiration behind the jalapenos is we got a few plants in our garden and they're just producing like crazy. We already took a couple harvests from it, but we got more to go, and I'll take you into the garden. I'll show you what that looks like. Now we'll go through the steps of making our jalapeno poppers, but I usually throw them on the pellet grill. It's nice and easy to set the temperature, just let it go. But for today, I thought I'd fire up the Kamado, show you how I'm doing it on this grill. I'll take you through this step by step. I'll show you what I'm doing. Now you can see, it's hard to see on camera here, but we got quite a harvest of jalapenos here. So I'm going to go through, pick the larger ones, and we'll see how many we got, and we'll decide what to do. Got 4 just off of that one plant alone. Look at the size of that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 jalapenos should do for now. All right, now we got our jalapenos picked. Let's fire up the grill. Now I cleaned everything out from our previous cook. I got some leftover charcoal. What I'm going to do, ignite that first using my instant fire starter. I'll just place that down in there. Light that up. There you can see I probably have enough charcoal to do this whole cook. But then again, if I have more than enough, I can always use the unburnt charcoal for my next cook. So just for insurance, I'm going to add a little more charcoal. Now I get asked a lot what brand of charcoal I use. I prefer the Fogo brand. It just has a cleaner burn when the new charcoal ignites. That should be plenty. There, now that we got some of our charcoal lit, and you can see I added a little bit of new charcoal on top. Let's start setting up our indirect cooking. First, we're going to put in our ceramic deflector here so we don't get hit directly with the heat from the fire. Then we got our bottom and top grill grate here. That hinges up like that, but this is going to give us a little more distance. Next, what I'm going to do is add my BBQube. This is a temperature controller. It's a real quick setup. This blows air into the bottom of the charcoal and just helps regulate temperature. I did a previous video on how all this sets up. It's just going to monitor our interior temperature. I'll just set the grill temperature. Now it's set to go. We'll close our lid. Now I've done these jalapeno poppers at different temperatures. Basically what you want to do is get that bacon fully cooked. I find a nice medium balance is 325. Now as far as using the BBQube temperature controller here on the Kamado, I just find it gives you a nice clean fire. There's no guesswork at setting the vents to get that temperature that you want. You arrive at a cleaner burn quicker. It's just a bit of a game changer when it comes to Kamado cooking. Anyway, that's what I'm using today. Thought I'd share it with you. Let's get those jalapeno poppers ready. All right, I like to get out everything we're going to need. Of course, we got our jalapenos here from the garden. We got a brick of cream cheese. I have a little leftover cheddar. And I got some old cheddar, just to add a little bit of sharpness. We got some crushed chili peppers, and we got some taco seasoning. And of course, we got our bacon. All right, let's start making these up. Okay, as far as the jalapenos, I like to take a small paring knife, chop the stem off, chop them down the center. Then you take your little scoop, or you can use a teaspoon, but I find this little melon scoop works really well. And it just takes all the interior out. There we have it. And we'll just do that to each jalapeno. Doesn't have to be perfectly clean. Just get the majority of it out like that. Boy, you could just smell the freshness of these peppers as I'm going here. Now, jalapenos, you never quite know just what kind of heat you're going to get out of them. The last batch we took from the garden had a bit of a heat to it, so I'm thinking these might have the same, which I don't mind at all. There, I'm just going to discard all this into the garden near our plants, and maybe we'll get some new plants growing up next year that we didn't expect. Okay, we got all these ready. Just set them aside. Now we'll start making the stuffing that's going to go inside of these. 7 jalapenos, which is going to be 14 of these. Probably use just over half of this brick. We'll use maybe 3/4. Put that in there. Next, I'll shred some of this marble cheddar. Like I said, I had this kicking around in the fridge, so why not? Just gives a little more texture and a slightly different flavor profile. That should be good. Next, I got this 2-year-old aged cheddar cheese. This is going to give it a little bit of sharpness. Again, we're just going to shred that right in. There, that should be good. Next, we're going to add just a little bit of taco seasoning. Not too much. And to give it a little bit of a kick, we're going to add a few crushed chili peppers. That's something visual too you're going to see when you're biting through it. I just like to mix it with my hands and then put it in the shells here. So just kind of blend it all together here. This is where the rubber gloves really come in handy. Mixing it around till you figure everything's well incorporated. I'd say that looks about right there. Now just take a little bit, start putting them in our tiny boats here. Push them right in, fill up the bottom of that pepper. We got this much left and 2 more peppers. So I'm just going to push that in. Whatever one can use a little more cream cheese, I'll just add it to that. Some of these larger peppers can take a little bit more. There, these are all stuffed, ready for our bacon. Slice our bacon open. Depending on what it looks like, I like to use a half a slice per pepper, but sometimes you'll get really thinly sliced bacon and you might need to use a little more for coverage. Yeah, I can see just how thin these bacons are. So I think what I'll do, I'll use 1 slice per. Take our jalapeno, Start wrapping that bacon around. Just like that. The starting part of the bacon on the bottom of the boat, I guess you could say, and just start wrapping it around. Like that. All right, there we have it. Now the last thing I like to do, take a little more of that taco seasoning and just kind of dress the top. It doesn't take much, just a little flavoring, but you notice it in the end. All right, these are now ready for the grill. All right, our grill is showing a temperature of 230, so everything's heating up in this grill. Let's get these started. Keep these bugs off them. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to place these on the upper rack here. Okay, just put them all on like that. Let's close our lid. All right, so I anticipate these to take about 1.5 hours to 2 hours cooking time at this temperature. So I'll bring you back in an hour, show you what it looks like. All right, these jalapeno poppers have now been on the grill for 1 hour. Like I said, I'll come back, we'll take a look, I'll show you what we're looking at. The next challenge to the cook as far as jalapeno poppers is, how do you know when they're done? Let's go in for a closer look and I'll show you what we're looking for. Now my temperature controller is just doing its thing. As far as the temperature from here, we're getting 325 at the level of where the jalapenos are. Our dome temperature is just reading under 300, just to give you some indication. Now we're looking for doneness in the bacon, which I can see this is still a little under just by looking at it. Doneness of the pepper. You can see that pepper still looks a little bit raw, so it needs more cooking time. What you can also do is take your interior thermometer, stab it in the middle of the cream cheese, and you should be getting a temperature of over 200 degrees when these are done. Just something I've learned along the way. All right, let's close our lid. Now you can see the stuffing of that kind of coming out where the bacon is, and I just find depending on what you put in the pepper, if I only use cream cheese, that wouldn't happen. It's just the mixture of things I put in there, and to me that's all just goodness coming out, but you decide what you want to do. So I figure we got at least another half hour on this cook. We'll just let these keep going, and I'll bring you back in a half hour, show you what we got. All right, these jalapeno poppers have been on for another half hour for a total cooking time of 1.5 hours. Let's go in and take a closer look, see if they're done. All right, same as before, we're just maintaining that dome temperature of around 300. And here we have it. You can see the bacon's got a lot tighter, so it's cooked more. The color of the bacon is there. You can tell this bacon looks done now. The pepper showing a little more cook on there, showing it's a little bit softer. And of course, let's do our interior temperature check here. We'll go into the cream cheese, and we are reading over 200. So these are ready to come off the grill. So I'm going to take these off the grill, put them on the board. But what I'm going to do to handle it, because they're a little more delicate when they're warm like this, put a cotton glove on. And put my rubber glove over top. Then we'll just transfer all these onto the board. All right, let's go in for a closer look at these. All right, I'm gonna bring these inside to rest, then we'll come back for the taste test. All right, so I took a couple of them off the board here, brought them out for a taste test. So an hour and a half here on the Louisiana Grills Kamado grill. And of course I got the BBQube Temperature Controller. None of the worries of shooting over or going under your target temperature. And again, look at these beauties. So like I said earlier, you could just use cream cheese. You're not gonna get some of this blowout, but I just find it adds flavor. So let's give them a try. You can see that bacon's cooked right around just perfectly. And bite through that pepper, no problem. You get a little spice, that seasoning that was on top of the bacon. The cream cheese in the middle is just full of flavor. When I use just regular cream cheese, it's just not the same. The bacons bite through, the peppers bite through. You taste a little bit of that heat from the jalapeno, the chili peppers. Wow, what a flavorful bite. That taco seasoning just helps blend all the flavors together. I'm telling you, what a delicious bite. Well, if you've never done jalapeno poppers, give this recipe a try. I'm telling you, they're just delicious. And like I said, you could just throw this on your pellet grill, same thing, 325. I've done it that way too, but I just find the Kamado, you can get a little more smokiness to it. You could even add some wood chunks in there if you wanted to really amp up the smoke, but I just find the lump charcoal does a great job. If you're new to the channel, I appreciate you. Just click that subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And we'll see you on the next one.